vision of crystal emerge.
One that is beautiful and humble, and open to further discoveries. A humble scientist is a good scientist. Science is the ultimate tool to reveal the laws of nature, and the one word written on its banner, its truth. The laws of nature are neither good nor bad. It is the way in which we apply them to our world that makes the difference. It is therefore our duty as scientists to promote education, rational thinking, and tolerance. We should also encourage our educated youth to become technological entrepreneurs. Those countries that nurture this know-how will survive future financial and social crises. Let us advance science to create a better world for all. Stockholm, December 10th, 2011. An expert for the Dr. Dan Shechtman speech at the Nobel banquet. And today, at our UKLO, our alma mater, for the very first time, an eminent Nobel Prize laureate is the candidate for awarding the prestigious academic title, Professor Honoris Causa. Respected Rector of the University St. Kliment Охридски, Bitola, you are invited to open the solemn ceremony.
Highly esteemed Professor Dan Shechtman and Professor Mrs. Shechtman. Let me at the beginning also to greet our honorable guest today, Minister of Culture, my fellow colleague, Rector of University Goce Delchev, previous rectors of University St. Kliment Охридски, Mayor of Bitola, Mayor of Prilep, representatives of diplomatic corps, of course, my close collaboration, my team, vice rectors and president of University Senate, the deans, the directors and УКЛО senators, professors, guests, and of course, members of the review committee. Let me, at the very outset, allow myself the indulgence of a trip into the past and recall a very prudent thought that back in 1973, the British Prime Minister of Jewish Sephardic descent, as most of the Jews who lived in Bitola, uttered while standing in aula of Oxford University. A university should be a place of light, of liberty, and of learning. So simply said, yet so complex, distant in time, but with universal and timeless meaning. Today, our university, carefully guarding its academic freedom, with all the dedication to learning, to its higher education and scientific research mission, perhaps more than ever in its almost 4.5 decade of existence, is place of extraordinary radiance. And the main reason for this bright moment, the most responsible person for it is our eminent guest of honor, Professor Den Shechtman from Technion Israel Institute of Technology, winner of the Nobel Prize in Chemistry 2011. It is very special excitement and honor that I'm opening this ceremony of awarding the Professor Honoris Causa title of University St. Clement Охридски Bitola to Professor and Nobel Prize laureate Mr. Den Шехтман. With these words, respected Professor Шехтман, I welcome you in the name of the entire academic community, which, as you well aware, is quite versatile and rich and comprises our higher education, scientific and other staff, as well as the most significant among them, the very reason for our existence, our students. All those without whom the university could and would not exist. Our alma mater, relatively small-sized and young university in comparison to the advanced age and powerful one, is by no means an exception to the social role assigned to it by definition, to be avant-garde in the promotion of universal values, the promotion of education, science, culture, and particularly in the promotion of academic freedom, but also the cooperation with a range of processes and mechanisms for building partnership, for building and nurturing mutual conference. It is the fact, actually, that takes on special significance because of opportunity to identify, recognize, and promote and adequately reward individuals, meritorious people, and also recognized member of the wider academic and scientific community. The honor and satisfaction to initiate such an academic procedure are even greater when it comes to worldly renewed name, recognized in the world of sciences in an international and developed communities. Because nothing is possible without a great persona, a remarkable individual, and great ideas can only be feasible by building institutions, or as the famous father of modern Europe, the intellectual Jean Monnet, putting, nothing is possible without men, but nothing lasts without institutions. Therefore, today acts on conferral of Professor Honoris Causa title as part of an established tradition exclusively imminent to the academia, represent the most pertinent way to value and reward a scientist, researcher, professor, an influential individual who, with this revolutionary paradigm shift in the science of crystallography, actually opened the way for advanced research and new discoveries, thus making his invaluable contribution the foundation for further development of the science and education. Dear guests, the spirit of adventure inherent in science help the scientists, researchers, but also all nations to unite around a common goal. Thanks to the existing exchange among scientists of all nationalities, there is advancement, cooperation, confrontation that enable the circulation of idea, which is the fact a very bloodstream of science. After all, thanks to the contacts made possible by our esteemed professor, Dr. Anka Trajkovska-Petkovska, today all we have the extraordinary privilege of having Dr. Šehtman among us and to award him respectively for his long-term and impressive academic and scientific research career pursued, among other things, at a number of prestigious universities and institutions around the globe. This is by no means just a simple protocol. This is a manifestation of our will to proudly honor an individual who excels both as an eminent scientist and renewed university professor. This is proclamation of the honor that a Nobel laureate grant upon us to have him here among us to, for a short moment in time, feel the greatness of his international significance, as well the excellence he rightfully has harvested in the field of his activity. At the same time, with this honorary title, our university recognizes the role of science and particularly the vitality of chemistry, which occupies a central place among other natural scientists due to its economic importance and its undeniable presence in our everyday life. At last, but not least, by drawing the aura and the prominence of the Nobel Prize winner, Professor Šehtman, closer to our university, we wish to present a valuable role model, a bright example for our students to follow, to send a message that would promote and privilege the learning, the knowledge, and the science. Thank you.
Respecting the procedure provisioned in the University Statute, the initiative that contained this impressive curriculum was submitted by the Faculty of Technology and Technical Science in Veles, where the review committee selected for the occasion initiated and implemented the procedure for awarding the honorary title up to this moment. Now, allow me to ask Professor Dr. Anka Trajkovska-Petkovska, full professor at the Faculty of Technology and Technical Science Veles and president of the review committee, to deliver her speech.
Respected Dr. Šehtman, respected guests, I would like to start my speech with an extract from Dr. Šehtman's paper entitled Quasi-Periodic Crystals, the Long Road from Discovery to Acceptance. I know that Dr. Šehtman has had to go a long way to prove his discovery. Andrew Jackson once said, "Difficult things take a long time, but impossible things take even longer." I strongly believe that miracles are possible, and the future belongs to those who are brave dreamers. Dr. Šehtman's scientific research activity has opened a new way of thinking, a way of taking risks, and a way to show how to be bold without a fear of criticism. He was criticized by many, including notable names at the time. But what amazes me the most, he stood tall, he didn't feel defeated from those with higher voice pitch, from people more decorated than him at the time. He opened up a whole new field in material science, in particular crystallography, known as quasi-periodical crystals or simply quasi-crystals. His scientific findings resulted in a whole new definition of the name crystals. For this discovery, Dr. Shechtman was awarded a Nobel Prize in Chemistry in 2011. This was a real breakthrough in the science and started a new era in the field of materials. However, I want to mention here that besides being a prominent scientist, researcher, a professor in material science, Dr. Shechtman always likes to highlight that entrepreneurship is a very important factor for every society in the world. He eagerly promotes the skills of entrepreneurship and he tries to instill the entrepreneurial spirit in his students anywhere else in his homeland and all over the world. He perceives the entrepreneurship as a kind of Israeli national sport. Dr. Shechtman is a living role model for all of us. We have the honor today and all this past week to learn firsthand from him. His commitment in providing good education to the young generation and his spirit of the entrepreneurship has yielded fruitful results at his home institute, Technion, and worldwide. What we can learn from him as a real, life present example is that regardless where we come from, and regardless of our background and profession, we should give the best possible knowledge and best possible education to the young generation. At the same time, encouraging and supporting them in the entrepreneurial spirit to teach them to dream big and go after those dreams. Not to fear setbacks and not to fear to ask for help. We need to teach them grit, passion, persistence, and determination to go after and make their dreams come true. Without any further delay on my part, I would like to once again Dr. Shechtman and his wife, Zipporah Shechtman, Professor Doctor, for accepting the invite and be a part of our university today. We are all honored to have you both. And I will try to finish my part with his words. The main lesson I have learned over time is that a good scientist is humble. A scientist who listens, not someone who 100% believes what he or she reads in the books. I will also add here a quote from another Nobel Prize laureate, Maria Curie. Nothing in life is to be feared, it's only to be understood. Now is the time to understand more so that we may fear less. Last but not the least, I would invite all of us to believe in our own ideas, dreams, in our own success. Don't let the noise of others' opinions pull you down, because our time on the earth is limited, and we must not waste it living someone else's life. This was my free paraphrase of Steve Jobs' words, but I see the importance of this in Dr. Shechtman's path. He proved these words to be true, and that is truly inspiring. Thank you, Dr. Shechtman, for that, and thank you all for your attention.
Thank you, Professor Trajkovska-Petkovska. Now let me invite the President of the University Senate, Professor Dr. Nikolaj Jankulovski, to read the official Senate decision on awarding the title of Honorary Professor.
dear rector, Professor Dr. Igor Nedelkovski, our special guest and Nobel Prize winner, great scientist, Professor Dr. Den Šehtman. Welcome in Bitola. Have a nice and pleasant stay here. Dear Professor Anka Petkovska-Trajkovska, the President of the Review Committee, dear rectors, dear Minister of Culture, dear Mayor of Bitola, dear Mayor of Prilep, dear previous rectors, the rectors from the other Macedonian university, dear members of the Senate, dear deans and directors, dear guests and students. By virtue of Article 19.4, paragraph 16, in connection with Article 184, paragraph 1 of the Law on Higher Education, Article 264, paragraph 2 of the Statute of University St. Kliment Охридски Bitola, based on the proposal for decision by the Rector's Board number 14-473/3 from the 219th session held on 24th April 2023, as well as the proposal for decision of the Teaching and Scientific Council of the Faculty of Technology and Technical Sciences in Veles, number 02-146/3 of 20th of April 2023, the Senate of University St. Kliment Охридски Bitola at its 211th session, held on 24th of April 2023, made the following decision. Under 1, Professor Dr. Den Šehhtman shall be awarded the title Professor Honoris Causa of University St. Kliment Охридски in Bitola. Under 2, Professor Dr. Igor Nedelkovski, Rector of University St. Kliment Охридски Bitola, shall conduct the ceremony of conferral of the honorary title to Professor Dr. Den Šehtman on 27th of May 2023. And under 3, this decision shall become effective on the day of its endorsement. Professor Dr. Nikol Čankulovski, the President of the University Senate. Dear Professor, allow me on behalf of the members of the University Senate in Bitola to express the happiness and in general the honor we had to announce you, Professor Dr. Šehtman, in Professor Honoris Causa. Thank you.
As we heard the decision of awarding the honorary title, I invite the Rector to declare respected Dr. Den Šehtman, a Professor Honoris Causa of University St. Kliment Охридски Bitola, an award, the University Regalia.
Dear Professor Šehtman, please all rise. In accordance with the University Senate decision number 14/474 from April 24th, 2023, I declare that University St. Kliment Охридски Bitola has the honor of awarding the honorary title Professor Honoris Causa to Professor Den Šehtman. In acknowledgement of his impressive scientific portfolio in the area of chemistry, with particular emphasis on his exceptional, revolutionary, and world-acclaimed achievement in scientific research related to quasi-periodical crystals, as well as his long-standing commitment to the advance of the educational processes and the provision of progressive, high-quality education for young generations, both at his home and international educational institutions. Respected Professor Šehtmан, I congratulate on this rightfully earned acknowledgement, and I'm asking you to accept the regalia and the Professor Honoris Causa diploma of University St. Kliment Охридски. Now, I invite our Professor Honoris Causa, Dr. Šehtmán, to give his speech.
Thank you very much, Anka, my beloved wife, rector, Senate members that approved the nomination for honorary doctorate, minister, president of the university, mayors. I'm very excited to be here today. And this is my first visit to Macedonia. And I've been to Bitola for a couple of days, but I've seen a lot of your country. And I was impressed by two things. Number one, you have a wonderful country. It's a very nice, fertile place. But more important, you have amazing people. And this is the most important natural resource of your country. It's not the minerals, it's your human ingenuity. And this human ingenuity is what will make your country even greater than what it is today. I'd like to say a few words about myself to convince you that I am a human being and did not descend from heaven. I'm a family person. My wife, Professor Šehtmán, and I have 4 children and 12 grandchildren that we love, and we are involved in their lives, and we dedicate ourselves to helping them and enjoy being with them. We are family people. But more than that, in my quest for discoveries in science, I realized a few important things which are outside science. Number one, I realized that I do not control my life. And you do not control your life. Although when you drive, you make sure you don't hit a tree. Yes, to that level. But the big events come by chance. I ended up as a scientist, not because I wanted to be a scientist since I was young. I wanted to become a mechanical engineer. And this is why I went to the Technion, my esteemed university in Haifa, Israel, to study mechanical engineering. And in 1966, I became a proud mechanical engineer. However, that year, there was a big recession in my country, and I could not find a job. Okay, when you don't find a job, is it good or bad? Well, depends. So I decided to do my master's degree, get some salary as a TA, teaching assistant, and in 2 years I will find a job, which I did. But during these 2 years, I fell in love with science. Okay. I'd like to say a few words about science in general and the effect of science on our lives. Of course, you people know and realize how science is important for the advancement and quality of our lives. But the people in the street usually do not do that, and we have to deliver the message. Science and technology progress two ways. One way is revolution, another way is evolution. Revolution, discoveries. These are the discoveries that awarded a big prize, the Wolf Prize, the Nobel Prize, and other prizes. And then a process starts. Once there is a new discovery, a process of evolution starts to develop the new discovery, the new invention, into something that is useful to us. And we live in an amazing period of time. Let me give you an example. In the 14th century, there was a plague in Europe, the Black Plague. It killed a large portion of the population of Europe. There was no cure, there was no science, nobody understood where it came from, and finally, it subsides, and that was the end of that. Fast forward, 1928, Alexander Fleming discovered penicillin. Wonderful observation, but also he analyzed the structure of penicillin and he started to make it in quantities because it would save millions of lives. And let me tell you something. Before penicillin, somebody will cut his finger and die because of infection that spreads all over his body. Unbelievable. He tried to produce a lot of penicillin unsuccessfully. He was British. England tried to produce large quantities of penicillin, and by now we are in the Second World War. Many wounded. We needed penicillin, unsuccessful. And then the United States came to the game. They succeeded in producing penicillin in large quantities. The first time penicillin was available to simple people like us, 1945. 17 years between discovery and medication in the market. 17 years. Fast forward. Up until recently, we had the pandemic, the corona pandemic. Within a year, we had vaccinations by BioNTech and Moderna and other companies, and they could produce it through Pfizer, the large company, for billions of people. It took 1 year. But it was based on deep knowledge and deep discoveries. It was based on the understanding the structure and the way it works of a messenger RNA, and there were Nobel laureates to receive prizes for understanding the structure of messenger RNA and the structure of the ribosome. There were Nobels on that too. So what happens in our body now, according to the new, very fantastic vaccine that they developed, I'm talking about BioNTech and Moderna, they inject into us messenger RNA. And that messenger RNA, the ribosome, this is the messenger, the ribosome goes on it, and the ribosome gets order. You will produce the following protein. What is the protein that you will produce? The spike of the virus of the corona. You produce many of the spikes. This is not harmful to the body, the spikes, but it teaches your immune system that this is an enemy. We should learn how to attack it. And in our body, right here, when you inject it, there is a little factory that produces a lot of these proteins, the spikes. And our immune system learns that this is an enemy. Now, when the virus comes and we are infected, our immune system knows this is an enemy and destroys it. My wife and I, Dr. Šehtman, professor, she and I received the vaccination 5 times. I received the coronavirus. I was sick. I didn't believe that this is the coronavirus. A little runny nose. I said, no, this cannot be the coronavirus, but I was immune. And I was positive. We were positive. And it was like this and nothing. And before the vaccine, people died because of it. We are in an amazing period of time, not only because medicine is so advanced, but because the technology and the knowledge behind the new developments are amazing. Can we predict revolutions? No. Can you predict evolutions? Yes. Let me give an example. Evolutions. We all know that future cars will be electrical cars. How do we know? It already started. Many of us have electrical cars. It started. This is the future. Will we be able to cure cancers? More so and more and more? Yes, we will. How do we know? Because it started. We are advancing very fast in curing different kinds of cancer. It's a long battle. It's a hard war, but we are going to win it based on discoveries, based on the revolutionized discoveries. Then we develop the vaccine, the cures for cancer. So, and now we have artificial intelligence. Is it going to change our lives? Yes. It already changes our life. People who use ChatGPT, maybe some of you use ChatGPT, I do. And I do it for good purposes. Will everybody use it for good purposes only? No. People will use it in different ways. Some of them will be harmful. Should we regulate it? Yes. Will the regulation work? No. We know that. So you, the decent people, will try to establish a modern society which is all positive and nice, and it's a long fight because there is also another dark side to humankind, and it's a continuous war of bad and good. Let me just finalize by, since many of you are scientists, I'll give you my definition, what is a good person and what is a bad person. A good person reduces the entropy of the world. A bad person increases the entropy of the world. This is very simple. You create war, you cause destructions, and you have examples in the world every time, today too. You are a bad person. You increase the entropy of the world. Finally, the future of Macedonia, as the future of my country, depends mainly on one thing: human ingenuity. We have to develop human ingenuity. We do that, and you are a fantastic example of a university that does just that. You develop, as my university develop human ingenuity, and this is what will carry us into a higher and higher successes and better life to everybody. Thank you very much, university. Thank you very much, rector, president, minister, and mayors, and everybody here who came to celebrate with me this fantastic event. Thank you.
Dear Professor Shechtman, thank you very much for your inspirational speech. Dear guests, thank you for your attendance. Before the actual closing of this solemn ceremony today, let us once again indulge ourselves in music. Thank you.